going on today, YouTube? Rob here. Today I'm going to be doing the last and final deck from the Legendary Dragons deck box. So this is Yugi's deck from the final battle with darts in Season 4, Waking the Dragons of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you do, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And like I just said, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more fun content, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's get into this Magician's deck profile. Again, this is from the Legendary Dragons deck box. So first we're going to start off with one copy of Magical Exemplar. Each time a spell card is activated, place 2 spell counters on this card and when that spell resolves. Once per turn, you can remove any number of spell counters from this card and special summon one spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard whose level is equal to the number of spell counters that you removed. Next we have 2 copies of Magician's Rod. When this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Dark Magician in its text. During your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap card or effect with this card in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can tribute 1 spellcaster monster and add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Magician's Rod once per turn. Next we have 2 copies of Magician's Robe. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can discard 1 spell or trap card and special summon 1 Dark Magician from your deck during your opponent's turn. If you activate a spell or trap card or effect while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Magician's Robe once per turn. Then we have 3 copies of Skilled Dark Magician. So each time a spell card is activated, you place 1 spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, maximum of 3. You can tribute this card with 3 spell counters on it and special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Then we have 1 copy of Legendary Knight Timaeus. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with Legend of Heart. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 face-up spell or trap card on the field and banish that target. When this card is targeted for an attack, you can target 1 spell card in your graveyard and set that target. Then we have 1 copy of the Legendary Knight Critias. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with Legend of Heart. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 face-up spell or trap on the field and banish that target. When this card is targeted for an attack, you can target 1 trap in your graveyard and set that target. It can be activated this turn. Then we have 1 copy of Legendary Knight Hermos. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with Legend of Heart. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 face-up spell or trap card on the field, banish that target. Once per turn, when this card is targeted for an attack, you can target 1 effect monster in your graveyard, and until the end phase of your next turn, this card's name becomes that target's original name, and replace this effect with that target's original effects. And then we have 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl. This card gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos in your graveyard. Then we have one copy of Big Shield Gardna. When a spell card is activated that targets this face down card and no other card, quick effect, you can change this card to face up defense position, and if you do, negate the activation. If this card is attacked, change it to attack position at the end of the damage step. Then we have one copy of Breaker the Magical Warrior. If this card is normal summoned, place one spell counter on it, maximum of 1. It gains 300 attack for each spell counter on it. You can remove one spell counter from this card, then target one spell or trap card on the field and destroy that target. Then we have two copies of Absolute Crusader. If a level 5 or higher monster or monsters is special summoned, tribute this face-up card, destroy that level 5 or higher monster or monsters. Then we have one copy of Apprentice Illusion Magician. You can special summon this card from your hand by discarding one card. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can add one Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. During damage calculation, if your other Dark Spellcaster monster battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to or face up on your field to the graveyard. That monster you control gains 2,000 attack and defense during the damage calculation only. And then we have 3 copies of Dark Magician to round off our monsters. He is a normal monster, so no effect, but the card text just reads the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. Now let's move on to the spells. I'm just going to keep that there. We've got one copy of Dark Magical Circle. When this card is activated, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Then you can reveal one Dark Magician or spell or trap card that specifically lists the card Dark Magician in its text among them, and then add it to your hand. Also, place the remaining 2 cards on top of your deck in any order. If Dark Magician is normal summoned or special summoned to your side of the field, except during the damage step, you can target one card your opponent controls and banish it. You can only use each effect of Dark Magician Circle once per turn. Then we have the Claw of Hermos spell card. This card is also treated as Legendary Dragon Hermos. Send one monster from your hand to the field to the graveyard of the type that is listed on a fusion material monster that can only be special summoned with the Claw of Hermos. If this card is set, reveal it. If that card is set, reveal it. Then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck. You can only activate the Claw of Hermos per turn. Then we have one copy of the Fang of Critias. This card is also always treated as Legendary Dragon Critias. Send one trap card from your hand or field to the graveyard that is listed on a fusion monster that can only be special summoned with the Fang of Critias. If that card is set, you reveal it. Then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck. You can only activate the Fang of Critias per turn. Lastly, for the dragon cards, we have the Eye of Timaeus. Again, this card is also treated as Legendary Dragon Timaeus. Target one Dark Magician monster you control, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that lists that monster on the field as fusion material. Using it as the fusion material, you can only activate one the Eye of Timaeus per turn. Next we have one copy of Thousand Knives. So if you control a Dark Magician, target one monster your opponent controls and destroy that target. Next we have one copy of Swords of Revealing Light. So after this card's activation, it remains on the field, but destroy it during the end phase of your opponent's third turn. When this card is activated, if your opponent controls a face-down monster, flip all monsters they control face up. While this card is face up on the field, your opponent's monsters cannot declare an attack. Then we have one copy of Reinforcement of the Army. So this lets you add one level 4 or lower warrior type monster from your deck to your hand. Then we have one copy of Pot of Duality. Excavate the top 3 cards from your deck and add one of them to your hand. Also after that, shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can only activate one Pot of Duality per turn, and you cannot special summon during the turn you activate this card. Oh man, sorry about that. Then we have one copy of Legend of Heart. Pay 2,000 life points and tribute one warrior monster, and banish up to 3 legendary dragon spells with different names from your hand and or graveyard. And if you do, special summon as many legendary knight monsters with different names from your hand, deck, and or graveyard. You can only activate one Legend of Heart per turn. Then we have one copy of Illusion Magic. So you tribute one spellcaster monster and add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck and or graveyard to your hand. You can only activate one copy of Illusion Magic per turn. Then we have one copy of Dark Magic Inheritance. Banish 2 spells from your graveyard and add 1 spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in its text, except Dark Magic Inheritance. You can only activate 1 Dark Magic Inheritance per turn. Then we have Dark Magic Expanded. Apply these effects in sequence based on the number of Dark Magician and or Dark Magician Girls on the field and in the graveyards. So, first effect is one dark spellcaster monster on the field gains 3,000 attack until the end of this turn. Number 2, this turn your opponent cannot activate cards and effects in response to your spell or trap cards or effect activations. Also, spell or trap cards that you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Or number 3, dark spellcaster monsters that you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of this turn. Then we have one copy of Dark Magic Curtain. So you pay half your life points and special summon one Dark Magician from your deck. You cannot summon other monsters the turn that you activate this card, but you can set. Jeez. Sorry, I'm yawning a lot, guys. I'm, really tired. And then, finally, to round off our spells, we have one copy of Dark Magic Attack. If you control Dark Magician, destroy all spell and trap cards that your opponent controls. Now to start off our traps, we have one copy of Tyrant Wing. Target one dragon monster on the field, equip this card to it. It gains 400 attack and defense. Also, it can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. Once per turn, during the end phase, if the monster equipped with this card by this effect attacked, or an opponent's monster this turn, destroy this card. That's weird. Then we have one copy of Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. Then we have one copy of Magician Navigation. Special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon one level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster monster from your deck. If you control Dark Magician except this turn, or the turn that this card was activated or sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls, and it has its effects negated until the end of this turn. And then we have one copy of Eternal Soul. Every Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. If this face-up card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control. You can only use the following effect of Eternal Soul once per turn. You can activate one of these effects. 1. Special summon one Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard. Or 2. Add one Dark Magic attack or 1,000 knives from your deck to your hand. Then we have one copy of Dark Renewal. So when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, target one of those monsters and one spellcaster monster you control. Send both monsters to the graveyard. Then you can special summon one Dark Spellcaster monster from your deck or graveyard. And lastly, for the traps, we have one copy of Crush Card Virus. So you tribute one dark monster with 1,000 or less attack. Your opponent takes no damage until the end of the next turn. After this card resolves, also you look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control, and if you do, destroy the monsters among them with 1,500 or more attack. Then your opponent can destroy up to 3 monsters with 1,500 attack or more in their deck. That's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. So we have one copy of Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, who requires Dark Magician and one Dragon monster. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in your graveyard. Your opponent cannot target spell or traps that you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Then we have one copy of Time Magic Hammer. Must be special summoned with the Claw of Hermos using a spellcaster monster. If this card is special summoned, target one other face-up monster on the field and equip this card to it. At the start of the damage step, if it battles an opponent's monster, you can roll a 6-sided die and banish that opponent's monster until the standby phase of the nth turn after this card's activation. And obviously n equals the result of your die roll. Then we have one copy of Tyrant Burst Dragon. Must be special summoned with the Fang of Critias using Tyrant Wing. This card can attack all your opponent's monsters once each. You can target one face-up monster you control, equip this monster to that target, and it gains 400 attack and defense. Also, it can make 3 attacks during each battle phase. Then we have 1 copy of Red Eyes Black Dragoon Sword. Not Dragoon Sword, Dragon Sword. Must be special summoned with the Claw of Hermos using a dragon monster. If this card is special summoned, target 1 other face-up monster on the field, equip this card to it, and it gains 1000 attack and 500 attack and defense for each dragon monster on the field and in either player's graveyards. Then we have 1 copy of Rocket Hermos Cannon. Again, must be special summoned with the Claw of Hermos, using a warrior monster this time. If this card is special summoned, target 1 other face-up monster on the field, equip this card to it. It can make a 2nd attack during each battle phase. Also, if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Then we have 1 copy of Mirror Force Dragon. Must be special summoned with the Fang of Critias using Mirror Force. When a monster or monsters you control is targeted for an attack by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. Then we have 1 copy of Goddess Bow. So, must be special summoned with the Claw of Hermos again, using a warrior as well. If this card is special summoned, target 1 other face-up monster on the field and equip this card to it. While this card is equipped to that monster by this effect, negate the first effect activated by your opponent during each battle phase. Also, after that, the equipped monster can make a 2nd attack during this battle phase. Then we have 1 copy of Doom Virus Dragon. So this must be special summoned with the Fang of Critias using Crush Card Virus. If this card is special summoned, look at your opponent's hand, all monsters they control, and all cards they draw until the end of their 3rd turn after this effect's activation, and destroy all those monsters with 1500 or more attack. Then we have 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. Dark Magician Girl and 1 dragon monster. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials or with the Eye of Timaeus. Once per turn, quick effect, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 face-up card on the field and destroy that target. Then we have 1 copy of Amulet Dragon. So this is Dark Magician and 1 dragon monster. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials or with the Eye of Timaeus. If this card is special summoned, target any number of spells in any graveyard, minimum 1. Banish those targets. Then if you do, this card gains 100 attack for each card that is banished by this effect. If this card is destroyed, you can target 1 spellcaster monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. And lastly, we have 1 copy of Dark Paladin. So this is Dark Magician and Buster Blader. Must be fusion summoned with a spell card. Must be fusion summoned. When a spell card is activated, quick effect, you can discard 1 card and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. This card gains 500 attack for each dragon monster on the field and in your graveyard. And that's it for the extra deck. Alright guys, that's it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. And just as a bit of a side note, I thought it was kind of weird that Dark Paladin was in this deck, but there was no Buster Blader to be able to really use anything to fuse with Dark Magician with to make this card. But hey, I don't really mind. It's part of the deck. I can't really help it. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed, And if you did, be sure to leave a like and maybe a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. As always, I will see you in the next one. That's game!